Is the time, and technology and innovation driving growth in Austin. That means the financial picture for a lot of families is changing. Mickey Powell of Powell Financial Partners is back. Mickey, I thought it'd be interesting to talk a little bit about the changes maybe you've seen, especially over the past couple decades.
I don't know if we have enough time. I've seen a lot, especially, growing up and living in Austin. But, two things, Alicia, that are just huge. When technology came to Austin, things changed. The other thing is so many people now have got their own businesses. They have an entrepreneurial spirit, and they want to manage and run their own business, and this is huge. And statistically, incomes in Austin across the board are higher than any other city in Texas, and for that matter, most of the country. And so that really presents some special opportunities for a lot of high net worth families.
Maybe you can talk a little bit about advice that you would give to people with higher net worth, because I can only imagine that their concerns, their challenges, very different than someone that's just trying to make ends meet type situation.
Yeah, they really are. Money's important to everybody, no matter where you're at, but high net worth families and individuals need to consider taking a team approach of how they handle their finances, because you think about it, if they're an executive at a company or if they're running their own business, they're very, very busy. They don't have a lot of time to keep up with personal matters, if you want to call it that. So they need to take a team approach. They need a good advisor. They need a good attorney, probably an estate attorney, and then also a very qualified CPA. And these people can provide guidance and direction to them to kind of help keep them on track, always trying to reach those goals that they have.
Yeah, assembling a team, if you will, of people that can help with that.
Exactly.
When we talk about the ups and downs of the stock market, would you tell them anything different when it comes to investing?
And this applies to everybody, but especially if you're talking about larger amounts. And when I'm talking about high net worth, I'm talking about people that have got $1 million or more of investable funds, okay? And when you buy, that's an exciting time. But it can also be emotional then whenever the markets turn around and go the other way. You have a big dip, you have a turnaround or a correction, then doubt starts to set in. People say, did I make the wrong decision? Should I sell? Should I get out of this? Bring that team back in. That's where the discussions can happen. And I'll tell you some really good advice for anybody, no matter where they're at, but especially the higher the amount of money, is to have a very well diversified portfolio. Have a lot of balance out there where you have opportunities to take advantage of the markets wherever they're at. And high net worth individuals need to have their own portfolio manager, their own account manager that's going to communicate with them regularly. Always keep them up to speed with what's going on. And then where that advisor comes back in again, they need to really know these people well, know their history, know who they are today, know what's important to them and where they want to go.
And hopefully Austin's red-hot housing market is making a lot of people take a second look at their finances. Mickey Powell of Powell Financial Partners joins us. A few things to keep in mind if you're considering investing in real estate. Good morning, Mickey.
Good morning, Alicia.
Okay, so, finding an affordable home, as I think a lot of people know, can be a struggle right now, can really end up eating into your finances. Let's talk about this a bit.
Okay. The labor statistics show some interesting numbers to us. People spend about 33% of their income on housing. That's a big number. Okay, secondly, 17% on transportation, and then about 13% on food. So, these are things that everybody has. Nobody's excluded from that. So when you're looking for a house, you need to be conscious of what those expenses are. And then especially when you're in a really hot market like Austin, it requires a lot of care.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I think one of the things that's important to look at is retirees, because many of them can be on a fixed income type situation. So what advice do you have for them?
I have the opportunity to talk to a lot of people that are approaching retirement, or maybe they're already there. So they need to look at what their expenses are going to be going forward. And one of the big things is if they've got a big house that they had when the kids were home, they need to consider maybe downsizing. Maybe they don't need all that room anymore. Because if they downsize, they could potentially have lower costs with utilities, with maintenance, property taxes, these kinds of things. Another thing is, even when, especially when they're moving to a new community, maybe they live somewhere else and they've always wanted to retire in Texas, for example, they might even consider renting a home, just for a short term, and try out an area, see if they like it. Kind of try it before you buy it, so to speak. And then another thing is maybe if they're going to keep the house that they're in, look and see if they can refinance. Because what happens is the longer people work, the more money they've made, and in many cases they have a higher credit score than they did years ago. They can get a lower interest rate, and if they do, they're going to save a ton of money over the life of that loan and enable them to pay the house off sooner.
Good advice, tough to take into consideration. One of the other things I think, talking to a lot of people here is even just moving a little further out of the Austin area, you can end up saving some money that way.
You can. There's also another side of that too. People always need to consider, where do they really want to live? Where's their lifestyle going to be comfortable? Do they need to be closer to work? Or their friends or family that they'd like to be close to. And of course, here in the Austin area, now we have toll roads.
That's right.
We didn't have these 40 years ago. And every time you drive on the toll road, there's an additional expense on that. So you need to look at that. And then also, too, one of the other things that people need to keep in mind are HOA fees.
Totally.
Yeah, they move to a new neighborhood and all of a sudden, $100, $150, $200 a month, that's a HOA fee. And they say, wait a minute, what is this?
Right. Something to always look at.
But they're there. But the biggest thing at all is to look at that budget and be sure that wherever you're at, it's going to be comfortable for you and easy to stay within.
I know a lot of people might take the weekend to do so. Mickey Powell, thank you so much.